So welcome back. We're gonna have a look at our very first project, and the first thing to do is to give it a solid structure, because everything you do in the beginning is going to make stuff easier towards the end. My lecturer used to say, "Start slow to finish fast." I think that's a very good way of putting it. So let's start off with making our the directories, and we're gonna make two Python directories. One we'll call core, add it, and one we'll call utils. Now I like to do it this way because in the utils I can just put everything that I have in all my projects. For instance, in all my projects I need to load the config. In all my files I will need to do some logging. In all my projects I have these basic functionalities that I would like to just copy paste into my new projects. I won't do that for this one, so you can all see how you can see everything grow organically, but that's how I would usually do it. And in the core, there's more specific functionality. For instance, in this case, we're making a project that will send emails. I'd like to send an email every morning telling me good morning. So that would have the email sending functionality will be in there. And we're also going to make a new directory, which is a config. That's going to store everything in my settings and passwords and keys and all that stuff. It's going to go in there. And then the last one that's a lot of people tend to ignore is the tests directory. And that's going to have, we're not going to touch it for a long time, but you should have it as a reminder to always create unit tests. And this is a topic we'll discuss in like 50 videos from now. But I would like to, I'll make it just so you see that's there. Now the config will move here, so it's in the config.yaml. The gitignore, it should include the config, the YAML, and actually let's delete this here, do refactor, because we don't want to store passwords in our Git repository in the end, right? We only want to have, because we want to give this to somebody else, and then if they see all the passwords and everything, that's not the way it should be. So the main file, the very important file we can delete because that's not gonna matter much anymore. And then we should also have README.md and add it. So this is gonna have like a basic description of what it does. The main file can also change a bit. We'll call this. This is doesn't really make sense now, but it'll make sense later. You create a main function, and you say if the name of the file equals main, you run the main function. So what this does is if you were to import this file from a different place, it would not run everything. It would see that the name is not equal to main, and it wouldn't do this. As an example, if you would not have this and you would just start writing, let me just make a new example, main2, do not add it. You just instead of having that infrastructure where you go from if name is main, run the main file, you just do A is 5, B is 7, and then all that stuff. And now you have a function in here, def function a do stuff, and then what's going to happen is whenever you import this, it's going to do all this stuff which you don't want it to do. And so that's why I would recommend delete, to just do it this way. It also looks very professional, and of course that's looking, fake it till you make it. Just do it this way. So we have our basic stuff set up. Let's commit it. Git add dot gitignore git add main git commit set up basic layout. So now, what do we want to do? We want to send an email, right? So the first thing we have to do is we have to go to our utils, new Python files, load config, add that, import Jamal, because we're going to save our config as a Jamal file. Def load config, path is config/config .jamal. So what this does is you can set the path where we store the config, but it's almost always going to be here. So you can pre-save this, so you don't have to type it out every time you call this function, which saves letters in your main file, which you are going to try to keep as short as possible. And we're going to say jamal.load open path, and then we had it will show up return config. Config is load open path, and yeah, we'll just do it like that. Oh yeah, of course we need to import it and run it. Import from utils.load config, import load config. I'll say config is load config. We'll pass the config to the main file, main function. I'll say here main config. So, and now we'll run this. No such file directory. config/config.jamal. So we'll say, well, what this means is this file doesn't exist, so we'll add it here. New file config.jamal. And for now, there doesn't really need to be anything in here. So if you run it now, of course, we from last time we have to add the Jamal loader settings. Loader is Jamal.fullloader. Yes. Copy that. Ctrl+C. And we add that here. That's great. Now all we have to do is one more file, which is config.jamal/template. And because this ends in a hyphen template, it will be added to Git. And what you can do is everything that you store here. So if you say var a5, you can say here var a, and then whoever opens the project in the future will see the config Jamal template, can copy that into and create a new config.jamal file and fill in all the variables the way they see fit. Cancel. I just want to delete that because we don't really need var a right now. So we add that git status git add main.py git add utils/load config.py git commit added config load functionality. Or actually, you should always do everything in the present tense. So add, not added, add config loading functionality. Git status. Add that to our gitignore because we don't want the py cache to be part of. So to slash, what is it? Py. Yeah. So anything that contains py cache. Right? Git status. it's still there. How could this be? Well, what could be the cause of this? Well, it seems to be that I have an H too many here, so I remove that, and then it works. I it doesn't show up anymore. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time when we're gonna implement some sending of emails using Python.